Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. On the night of November 26, 2008, 10 terrorists landed in Mumbai and over the course of 60 hours proceeded to butcher 166 innocent men, women and children. Now for over 17 years, India has been fighting for justice for these victims. Sure, we've managed to nab some foot soldiers. Ajmal Kasab, the 10th terrorist who was executed after a trial in 2012. Zabiuddin Ansari, one of the handlers who was in the control room in Karachi directing the attackers, he faces trial as well. But now India could be close to getting one of the masterminds of the terror attacks, Tahawwur Rana, a Pakistani-Canadian national who was one of the plotters of the 26/11 attacks along with David Coleman Headley. What can we expect from Rana when he's extradited to India? Joining me to discuss this are Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director in the Intelligence Bureau, and Ambassador Meera Shankar. Ujjwal Nikam, who's also a public prosecutor who handled the 26/11 case, also joins us. But I want to start with Ambassador Shankar. Ambassador Shankar, explain to us the significance of what we've actually got here, the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, one of the masterminds of 26/11. This is a case that the government of India has proceeded with great patience over the last couple of years. The NIA must be complimented for building this case against Rana. They've proceeded on it very quietly and diligently. And now we hear that the Supreme Court has rejected the final appeal that Rana filed, and he is now set to be extradited. Tell us how important this is for this case of bringing justice to the victims of 26/11.
I think it's very important because Rana was obviously somebody who was closely involved with the conspiracy, being a friend of David Headley. And David Headley had also testified at Rana's trial, which was with regard to the attempt to, attack someone from the Danish newspaper, which had published a cartoon which was offensive to Muslims. During the course of the trial, it turned out that Headley had used the cover provided by Rana's immigration law office, which he had set up in Mumbai. And Rana was also overheard talking in a conversation, basically saying that the terrorists involved with November 8th should be, given gallantry medals or something like that in Pakistan. So clearly there was involvement. And when he comes to India, we will be able to look at trying to get deeper elements of the conspiracy, because who were the ISI majors involved in this whole conspiracy? There's been talk of a Major Iqbal. So let's see what further information we can get. And it's also a testament to the fact that there's now much greater trust between India and the US. You'll recall that, Mr. Headley, when he was first seen as being involved, the US did not immediately give us access to him. And speculation was that he was a double agent, also working for the US Narcotics Bureau. But, at that time, I was ambassador. I probably met the Attorney General Eric Holder about 5-6 times pertaining to the case. And finally, we were able to get access for our National Investigative Agency team, fly out there and interrogate Headley in prison for 7 days, which helped us to collect material. But we were not allowed to use that material unless we had other corroborative evidence to establish it purely on the basis of Headley's replies. Therefore, when Rana's trial took place and Headley testified
Yes.
in that trial, all that came as evidence on record.
Yes.
And that was extremely helpful because we can now use all that evidence,
Yes.
which is there through Headley's testimony.
Absolutely.
Now, we asked
Ambassador
for
Shankar, I'm going to
extradition.
interrupt you. Ujjwal Nikam now joins us from Jalgaon. He's someone who knows more about this case than anyone else. He's been special public prosecutor on the 2611 case. Ambassador Shankar was just talking, Mr. Nikam, about the kind of evidence that David Headley has given us. And the fact is that we have managed to diligently pursue this case, and we finally got hold. We may not have got David Headley because he's facing 35 years in prison in the United States. But tell us, how significant is this move of the US to deport Tahawwur Rana to India, and what happens after this? Once the extradition, his appeal has been rejected, the extradition process begins. What happens? What are the next steps? Just take us through this.
First of all, let me make it very clear that David Headley and US had entered into plea bargain agreement.
Yes.
I have tabled that plea bargain agreement, and one of the important conditions of the plea bargain agreement that David Headley would depose in both countries, in
Right.
Pakistan as well as India. But he will not be transferred either any of the country which ultimately US has agreed.
Right.
And that is the reason as to why, according to me, we can't bring David Headley in India, number one.
Right. Right.
Number two, I have taken the live evidence of David Headley in Mumbai court in the terror attack of 26 November.
Yes.
See, the reason is that when I had been to Islamabad
Yes.
along with the Indian official delegation, we are asking, you are not prosecuting the perpetrators of the terror attack, like
Right.
Hafiz Saeed, Shakir Rahman Lakhi.
Yes.
No doubt Pakistan has arrested very petty players in that conspiracy.
Yes.
And we were objecting, you should apprehend the real players in the conspiracy.
Right.
Their stock answer was that India did not share us in investigation, did
Right.
not involve us. Number two, they said that where is the evidence? India did not furnish the evidence, to which we replied
Yes.
that in fact the criminal conspiracy was hatched on the US side,
Yes.
and therefore it was necessary for you to collect the answer.
Right.
But we know the Pakistan is always in denial mood to prosecute India's enemies.
Yes.
And that is the reason as to why the Hafiz Saeed, Shakir Rahman Lakhi still are at large. Therefore, when we come back, I read the entire plea bargain agreement. Then, after having discussion with the government of Maharashtra,
Yeah.
we have examined as an approver, as an accomplice
Yeah.
in Mumbai court. We have taken his evidence, live evidence. No doubt David Headley had shared us very important information,
Yeah.
like the email correspondence, which was exchanged between the LAT operatives and even David Headley.
Yes.
Now, one of the email correspondence was showing that the LAT had a strong, close association with the Pakistan army official.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
that paper is having the mobile numbers. I have taken the very clear clarification from David Headley
Yes.
about their name, etc.
Right.
Now, so far as your question is,
What happens next?
The,
Yes, Mr. Nikam. After he's extradited, brought to India, what will you do? Will you reopen the case, or will you file a fresh case against?
say now it is
Tahawwur
for the
Rana.
NI,
Yes.
because NI is the prosecuting agency so far as Tahawwur Rana is concerned.
Right.
Now it is for the NI to take legal action against the Tahawwur Rana.
Yes.
Of course, from our side, we are ready to cooperate to NI. We can share all the information, all the
Yes.
evidence, tangible evidence, which has been collected in Mumbai court.
Right.
But whole criminal conspiracy was related to the terror attack of 26 November.
Yes.
So I'm very optimist by deporting or extraditing Tahawwur Rana in India.
Yes.
India will get more information,
More information.
evidence.
Yes.
Yes, that is about the links between
Yes.
the Pakistan security apparatus and the Jamaat Dawa or LAT, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And
So
thank you,
let's
Mr.
see
Nikam.
what
I'm going to
happens.
go to
Thank you.
Mr. Azad. You know, he's also someone who's tracked the 2611 case very closely while he was in the IB. You know, Mr. Azad, there's overwhelming evidence that the Pakistan ISI, which is actually the Pakistan military, has been behind several terror attacks on Indian soil in the past, particularly in Mumbai, which they seem to have targeted with maniacal glee, you know, since 1993. In 15 years, you've had some 3 terror attacks in which 700 Mumbaikars were killed. You know, but we've never really got any of the top masterminds, any conspirators, other than the foot soldiers or low-level operatives, you know. Now, given how Ujjwal Nikam was talking about the importance of the revelations that David Headley made, the fact is that the Headley interrogations very clearly show that the Pakistan military was very closely involved. They had, you know, all the LET operatives had one Pakistan army handler or the other. And there is a number of these officers who keep floating, from Major Iqbal to there is a brigadier who is supposed to be a handler, you know. And do you think that there is finally a chance for India to link the Pakistan Army's ISI to the 2611 conspiracy?
See, much of the material we already have, and I have prepared an excellent dossier
Yes.
on the 11 attacks, on the 9/11. And then after that, they submitted, I think, the charge sheet also in 2011,
Yes.
in which this guy is named. Now, the important part about this fellow is that the case which has been registered against him is the conspiracy to wage war against India.
Right.
And you know, providing material support to the terrorists. It's also forgery, use of fake documents.
Yes.
So the charges are very, very strong, and also the evidence is very strong.
Right.
In the evidence is also their, you know, their communications between the various let operatives,
Yes.
between Rana, between Headley. And in fact, you know, it's very unfortunate that in that plea bargaining, one of the conditions was that he won't be handed over to India.
Yes.
Because, you know, the actual case concerns India. It,
Yes.
of course, US got involved because of the US nationals were also killed in this
Yes.
case.
6
But
US
it's
citizens
very,
were
very
killed in
important.
this attack. Yes.
And that's very, very important that he should have been handed over to India. And we have that bilateral extradition treaty. And you'd remember that in the actual involvement of the terror attack case, this
Right.
fellow was acquitted
Yeah.
in Mumbai. But whereas because he was wanted by us,
Yes.
and the charges were very serious, that is waging war against India,
Yes.
that is how he's being charged. Now, you talked about some of the key players. Yes, the foot soldiers caught. I am extremely satisfied that all those 10 murderers who had come here, the
Yes.
terrorists, have all, you know, gone. 9
Yes.
of them have been shot, and one was, of course, hanged later. Now, with the Tahawwur Rana, at least there are 2 things which will happen.
Right.
One, that at least this man who was a plotter, he was the virtual creator of this entire thing, because he was
Right.
a great friend with Headley, and he was involved with everything, mapping, plotting,
Yes.
just about everything, giving financial assistance. And the second is, of course, that a lot will come out in terms of actual involvement. We know that
Right.
who are the people involved. You know, Lakhvi, one of
Yes.
the commanders of the lead, he
Yes.
is also in some kind of a fraud jail sentence
Yes.
in Pakistan. And I don't know when they get released, when they come back. All these guys have their pointsmen
Yes.
in the military. Now, with this fellow coming back, when
Yes.
he's confronted with the evidence that we already have,
Right.
which the NIA has, then we are going to get more and more things out of this person. I think,
Right.
you know, Mr. Nikam already has a great experience in this.
Yes.
And we should be able to pursue this case extremely well with all the evidence that we have marshaled at our command, and we are going to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ambassador Shankar, you believe that Tahawwur Rana could actually throw more light on the linkages between the LET and the Pakistan military? In fact, your colleagues who I've spoken with, and of course prosecutors on the 2611 case say that the LET is a virtual arm of the Pakistan military. They're like a paramilitary that the Pakistan army has used against India on several terror attacks. Do you believe this is a chance for India to finally nail the links between the Pakistan deep state and terror organizations like the LET?
I hope so. I hope we are able to do it. We already have a lot of information which came from Ajmal Kasab, which came
Yes.
from David Headley's testimony. So a considerable portion of the conspiracy
Yes.
has already been pieced together.
Right.
And I'm not sure that this will make any difference in Pakistan because they just deny it.
Yes.
So it's not that it is going to have, any visible impact, but yes, we can certainly then show to the world
Yes.
that the Pakistani state
Yes.
has been intimately involved in this kind of covert war
Right.
against India. I think that would be the big diplomatic benefit
Right.
that we get from Tahawwur Rana's extradition. And of course, there are two things. The US court, the US had queries about the possibility of torture, whether
Yes.
legal aid will be provided to him, what kind of facility.
But Mr. Azad, I want to come back to you on the point that Ambassador Shankar was making, that this is possibly another chance that India has to nail Pakistan's policy of using terror as an instrument of foreign policy. Do you believe that anything that we get now could deter Pakistan from using terrorism, because they seem to be, literally addicted to using terror as an instrument of state policy?
Well, fortunately, the incidents, such incidents have really come down. In fact, they have come to a real trickle. And
Yes.
some of their, what you call the sleeper agents, only you find them in action here and there, maybe in Punjab, a few actions. And of course, the border crossings continue in Kashmir. So definitely a difference has been made. There is a kind of a deterrence now.
Yes.
Because, the difference today is that the NIA has done an excellent work.
Right.
And with the authority at their command that they can investigate cases of terrorism against India on the foreign soil.
Yes.
This has given them further latitude to go out. For example, cases of Canada or you see other countries where
Yes.
these things are happening. NIA has been able to prepare excellent dossiers. The
Right.
difference it has made is that we are able to communicate better with our friends abroad,
Yes.
and we are able to give them much better and concrete evidence.
Right.
So in this case, I agree with Ambassador Shankar that maybe the Pakistan, most probably rather, they won't react favorably.
Yes.
But anyhow, with more and more information coming out, we shall at least be using it to our advantage, which will
Yes.
create some kind of a deterrence for them.
Absolutely, creating some kind of deterrence against Pakistan's use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy. But thank you very much, Yashovardhan Azad, Ambassador Shankar, and of course Ujjwal Nikam for joining us on this story. President Donald Trump has declared war on illegal immigrants. He's declared an emergency on the southern border of the United States, from where most illegal immigrants enter the US. The US military is also deporting illegals, some of them in military aircraft. Mexico and Colombia are in his sights as Trump carries out his campaign promise of the largest deportation program in history. Now, Trump has threatened Colombia with a trade war, which forced the Colombian president to send his official aircraft to collect the immigrants. Could India be next? India has the fourth largest number of illegal immigrants in the United States. Over 2,000 Indians have been detained in the US over the last few months. There are an estimated 7 lakh illegal Indians in the United States. That's more than the population of Sikkim. They now face potential deportation. How has Trump impacted the donkey network? That's the name given to an illegal network of middlemen who smuggle people into the United States and other Western countries. Joining me to discuss this on the News9 Plus show are advocate Jatin Bansal and Irina Sukerman, a human rights lawyer, live from New York. Welcome to the News9 Plus show. Irina, I want to start by asking you this. President Trump's war on illegal immigrants, is it going to disrupt the US diplomacy with other countries, the US ties with countries of South America, in Asia, for instance? India is, of course, one of the top senders of these illegal immigrants into the United States. Break down for us what the potential impact could be on the US foreign policy.
It all depends on the priorities and the focus of these exchanges. So far, the U.S. has prioritized moving out immigrants with criminal records.
Right.
Allegedly, India has offered to take back 18,000 of illegal migrants, but it's not clear whether it is talking about illegal migrants with criminal records or just anybody of that background who happens to be in the United States. But we are already seeing some tensions flare up with Colombia.
Yes.
For instance, the president of Colombia initially refused to allow U.S. airplanes, deportation airplanes with Colombian migrants to land. That led Donald Trump to announce tariffs and sanctions against Colombia, and led to the reciprocation of the tariff on U.S. goods, but also to the reversal of the order, which essentially had President Petro offer a presidential plane to continue these deportation orders. So they think that some countries react in a fiery way, only to reverse very quickly after testing Trump's limits on this issue. And it does appear that these mass deportations are a domestic and foreign policy priority for the U.S. at that moment.
Absolutely. It's a foreign policy and a domestic priority for the United States. Jatin joins us now from Chandigarh. Jatin, the Punjab is one of the top sources of illegal immigrants into the United States. We've documented this, we've made films on this. There have been movies made as well on this so-called donkey network. Give us a sense of what the impact of Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration has been so far on these networks in Punjab. Are people a lot more wary now of traveling into the United States using illegal means?
See, as far as this impact in Punjab is concerned, first we need to understand this, that the policies Mr. Trump has now implicated. Mostly it deals with illegal immigrants which are already placed in the USA. That's one. So as far as the donkey routes are concerned, so these are the people who do not get the visa legally for one reason or another based on the policies. Now, personally, I don't think that it is going to be an hindrance towards that people. It's only a matter of time that these people who are using these donkey routes, they find some other way around to enter into the United States. So it's only a matter of time. Then one aspect that needs to be considered is that right now Mr. Trump is implying these policies just to appease the masses of the United States, because obviously the general scenario is that because of these illegal immigrants, that we are having a poor conditions, that they are taking our job responsibilities, employment and other things. And once they are out, we might have better conditions. But one need to realize this, that these illegal immigrants, they don't enjoy a very high status in the United States. Rather, they are the ones who are at the lowest labor force. Now the question comes, once if this labor force is removed from USA, whether the Native Americans are ready to do this minimal job labors, which I think that
of course they bring in cheap labor. That is well known. That's well known, Jatin. But give us an idea of the desperation within Punjab. What is it that is really fueling this migrate at all costs? We've heard stories of young people selling off property, paying a lot of money to migrate illegally, paying these illegal networks money to migrate illegally. What is it that makes them go abroad?
general notion in Punjab, obviously my personal opinion, is that normally what people think is that by immigrating to abroad,
Yes.
whether legally or illegally, their entire family's economic condition is going to improvise. They think that
Right.
they have better job opportunities, better living standard,
Yes.
and overall better financials over there. So that's one of the misconceptions that people have there.
Yes.
And still think that doing here will not give them as better fruits as it might give them working abroad.
Right.
So with that notion, people are shifting towards abroad. The issue comes that normally one of the reason why there is
Yes.
so much donkey system and illegal immigrant is because in Punjab there are too many people who are into the business of sending people abroad. So
Yes.
now, see, the point is that once any person who wants or applies for a visa, his application is not proper.
Right.
So, it has become a form of extraction of money that those agents, they tell them that fine, this much money is what we are going to charge you,
Yes.
and then we'll send you these routes. So the issue at par in Punjab is not because of what is the general wave among masses.
Yes.
The issue is with this immigrant agents as well, who most of the time it is found that 70% are working without license.
Right.
So the major
70%
part I
are
personally
working
believe
without
is of that.
license. Yes. In fact,
Yes.
Jatin, we now have Yuvraj Rana joining us from Haryana, and Yuvraj is actually someone who's actually tried to, migrate into the West. And now he's kind of given up. Yuvraj, thank you for joining the News9 Plus show. Give us an idea of the sentiment currently in Haryana, in Punjab. What are people talking about these very harsh measures that Donald Trump has promised on the illegal immigrants in the United States? Has it put in a fear amongst the youth in India who want to migrate illegally into the United States?
Thank you, sir. My English not. I can speak in Punjabi or Hindi.
जी जी हिंदी में बात कीजिएगा
don't mind.
जी
हाँ जी सर, इस पे इम्पैक्ट तो पड़ा है कि क्योंकि पंजाब में और हरियाणा में अभी क्योंकि पॉलिटिशियंस है ना, जो पॉलिटिशियन है बहुत गंदी गेम खेल रहे हैं पंजाब में और इंडिया में, जैसे भी आपको मालूम है, क्योंकि जो हमारा यंग जनरेशन है ना, उनको
जी।
जॉब ही नहीं मिल रही यहाँ पे इंडिया में। तो इस पे बैड इम्पैक्ट तो पड़ेगा कि डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने इलीगल को जैसे रोकने के लिए उन्होंने एक्शन लिया है
जी
माइग्रेंट्स को, तो इस पे फर्क तो पड़ेगा क्योंकि इंडिया में तो काम ही नहीं मिल रहा किसी को। और बहुत अच्छे पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं जहाँ पे जिन्होंने अच्छी स्टडी की हुई है, अच्छे कॉलेजों में पढ़े हुए हैं, बट वो उनको जॉब ही नहीं मिल रही है। उनको जॉब मिल रही है तो पर रहने का कुछ है नहीं, सिस्टम नहीं है, उनकी लाइफ सेफ नहीं है जहाँ पे, उसका बहुत बुरा प्रभाव पड़ सकता है।
बहुत बुरा प्रभाव पड़ जी जी थैंक यू युवराज Irina just Yuvraj Rana is someone who tried to migrate several times into the United States. In fact, he was in the West for a number of years before he came back finally, and he seems to have given up his ideas of migrating illegally now. Give us an idea. In the United States, there is a very prosperous Indian migrant community there. The Indians are among the richest, the wealthiest, and the most prosperous immigrant community. The legal immigrants, then they occupy some of the top CEOs. They're top CEOs of some of the biggest US corporations. Do illegal immigrants, like of the kind that we've seen now, are they giving Indians in the United States a bad name?
I don't think so. I think actually the general assumption is that most immigrants from India are legal, and frankly, we are probably going to see a lot more of legal immigration from India. We've seen there was a major blowout between Steve Bannon and Elon Musk over business visas,
Yes.
and Elon Musk and a lot of the other
H-1B
tech
visas,
giants.
that's right.
Yeah, they've been pushing for mass expansion of business visas because US is focusing a lot on technology.
Yes.
It lacks skilled labor necessary to carry out some of the most sophisticated tasks, and engineers and other tech specialists from India are badly needed to
Right.
fill in the gaps. We already heard the announcement by China about the AI startup that is
Yes.
supposedly putting to the shadows a lot of the most heavily funded US AI. So
Yes.
so that's why you need this mass expansion of legal migration. So that would open a path for people who do want to get into the US and
Right.
who have skills to contribute to the US. And there is a hope that opening broader legal migration paths will
Yes.
also cut down on some of the illegal
Illegal
migration.
migration.
efforts
So,
that
so
we're
it's
seeing.
there is no such case yet. I mean, illegal migrants, Indian illegals aren't giving the immigrant community in the United States a bad name. That's what you're saying. We are.
I'd say they're in the minority. I'd say that compared to other countries, it's
Yes.
relatively minor that we are seeing. If there's 18,000 in total, that's not a lot
Yes.
compared to these hundreds of thousands from Latin America, for instance.
So it's the Latin American migrants, illegal immigrants, that are actually bearing the brunt of this bad name that migrants have made for themselves in the United States. But Yuvraj, मैं आपसे बात कर रहा था ये इलीगल डोंकी नेटवर्क के बारे में. ये क्या अभी भी फैशन में है? लोग अभी भी जाना चाहते हैं, अभी भी यूएस में जाना चाहते हैं?
अभी भी मेरे गांव से एक दो लड़के गए हैं. वो जैसे जर्मन स्टूडेंट वीजा पे गए, वहां से जर्मन से वो ब्राजील में गए, ब्राजील नहीं, मेक्सिको में गए, मेक्सिको से उन्होंने एंट्री की. अभी
जी, ये कब की बात है?
सर
जी, ये कब की बात है? ये कब गए हैं मेक्सिको और ब्राजील?
अभी 5-6 महीने हो गए उनको.
जी, तो ये 5-6 महीने हैं, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के आने से पहले हुआ. और
जी हाँ जी.
और
अभी भी शायद अभी रुकेगा नहीं, पंजाब में तो नहीं रुकेगा, क्यों पंजाब हरियाणा में नहीं रुकेगा, क्योंकि जहाँ पे तो काम ही नहीं है, कोई अच्छी पढ़ाई नहीं है, अच्छी सिखलाई नहीं है, पुलिस भी पॉलिटिशियन में पावर में है, तो उनको लोगों को तंग कर रहे हैं वो.
आपको लगता है बेरोजगारी की वजह से लोग जा रहे हैं?
इनको भी गोली मार सकते हैं.
जी,
सेफ नहीं है, लाइफ सेफ नहीं है
जी. और ये लेकिन कितना पे करते हैं जो ये कबूतर नेटवर्क?
जहाँ पे 350 रुपी एक दिन का 350 रुपए दे रहे हैं, और महंगाई भी दिनों दिन बढ़ रही है, आपको मालूम है.
जी, नहीं, जब वो लमसम की बात करते हैं, जब ये डोंकी नेटवर्क में लोग जाते हैं, तो कितना एजेंट को कितना पैसा देते हैं? हाउ मच मनी डू दे पे एजेंट्स?
30 लाख रुपए देते हैं, 30-40 लाख
30 लाख
एजेंट को जाते हैं.
जी.
हाँ जी, 30 और 40 लाख रुपए देकर जाते हैं.
और क्या ये रेट अभी भी कायम है ये ट्रंप के आने के बाद? 30 लाख. और लोग क्या क्या कर रहे हैं ऐसे जाने के लिए? क्या लोग
अपनी जमीन
बेच
पढ़े
रहे हैं?
लिखे होकर भी अपने फैमिली को ऐसे करके ना, अपनी फैमिली को छोड़ के सब कुछ, अपनी जमीनें बेचकर, अपने लैंड को बेचकर, अपने कल्चर को छोड़कर उधर जा रहे हैं, अपने सिर्फ पैसे कमाने के लिए.
जी, सिर्फ पैसे कमाने के लिए. लेकिन और कोई सरकार के कोई ऐसे प्रोग्राम नहीं है, कोई मास कांटेक्ट अभियान नहीं है, अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम नहीं है, जिससे वो लोगों को कह रहे हैं कि भाई आप अपने जमीन बेच के मत जाइए, 40 लाख देके आप किसी क्रिमिनल
नहीं
नेटवर्क
सर,
को?
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं अभियान में है. हमारे पंजाब स्टेट में जो चल रही है, गवर्नमेंट चल रही है, आपकी चल रही है, उसमें कोई भी ऐसा कोई एक्शन नहीं है जो उनको जो प्रोवाइड कर सके, उनको अच्छी पढ़ाई दे सके, और अच्छे कोई ऐसे जॉब के लिए कोई फैक्ट्री या कोई कुछ भी योजना बना सके, जिससे हमारे देश के लोग जहां इंडिया में रहकर अच्छी कमाई कर सके, अच्छे से सेफ्टी से रहे, अच्छे से रहे. ऐसा कोई भी अभियान नहीं चल रहा.
कोई अभियान नहीं चल रहा है. That's very sad to hear that there isn't any awareness campaign in the state of Punjab to keep illegal immigrants from going abroad using these networks. So Irina, you just heard it from Yuvraj, who's been trying to migrate illegally into the West, and he says that basically the desire to migrate is still there, and of course the United States is literally the beacon for all migrants across the world. It's a country that was built by migrants, and it continues to be as attractive as it was possibly in the 19th and the 20th centuries. But give us the bigger picture of what Donald Trump is planning to do with this largest deportation program that he's promising. How serious is he about this? Will he actually carry out this plan to evict something like 10 million people? This is the numbers of illegal immigrants we believe in the United States. How big is this, and will he be deterred by the financial cost of deporting so many people?
To be honest, even deporting the illegal migrants with criminal records is a monumental task. It's about
Right.
700,000 people, and it's estimated to cost that it would cost approximately $86 billion, which is a lot.
Right.
And it's a lengthy process identifying these individuals, building sufficient capacity to house them during deportation hearings and removal proceedings. All of that takes time and money. So I don't know whether Trump can even get around to most of what he has planned for his single remaining term. Of course, perhaps he is planning for the next Republican president to continue that, but I don't know if that's going to be a top priority. Of course, the main reason for all of this being given is security. There has been an unprecedented border crisis during the
Yes.
Biden administration, and it's also been a drain on economic resources in sanctuary cities on near the borders as well, and it created a humanitarian crisis.
Yes.
In the economic issue on the U.S. Part. So indeed, this issue needs to be addressed,
Yes.
but it will take more than deportations to solve all of this. There needs to be a balance of resources.
Yes.
There needs to be an improvement in the border procedures, in border security, in border resources for
Yes.
processing as well. And there needs to be a training of border security
Yes.
officers on cultural issues at the same time to prevent a lot of the economic migrants that are using
Yes.
asylum and refugee paths to try to get into the US. I think it's worth considering different types of licenses, perhaps temporary licenses for 6 months to 2 years.
Yes.
For lower skilled migrants that can still do the work that Americans simply won't do is one way to contain it. Another issue is to remove federal minimum wage and a push for states to remove minimum wage, because
Right.
in some cases it has reached absurd numbers, and there's no way to hire people in the United States to do those jobs and keep some of the businesses actually running. So a lot of the businesses depend on lower income, low skilled labor that's
Yes.
basically filled by illegal migrants. And
It is a very
real
complex
economic-
system that needs to be fixed, Irina Sukaman. Thank you very much, for explaining that to us. I'm afraid we're completely out of time, but thank you for joining us and, throwing light on this huge deportation project that Donald Trump has just unveiled in the United States. Thank you very much, Jatin Bansal, for joining us, and of course, Yuj Rana, to talk about the plight of illegal immigrants who want to go to the US. It doesn't seem to have deterred them from what we are hearing. Thank you for joining us on this story on the possible fate of India's illegal immigrants.